I'm Dr. Francisco. Before we start, open your cameras muna para naman makilala ko kayo. Okay, so guys, ako hindi naman ako mahigpit. So, it's your choice kung gusto nyong i-close yung camera while listening or gusto nyo lang naka-open. Okay? So, kung gusto nyo rin kumain, mag-coffee habang nagle-lecture, pwede rin. Okay? Basta wag lang yung parang full breakfast, yung nagkakamay pa. Okay? So, good morning everyone. I'm Dr. Francisco. I'm the current Chief Resident of the Department of Surgery. So, let's start. So, my lecture is about metabolic, neuroendocrine, and immunologic response to injury. So, our objectives, okay, so at the end of the session, you should be able to know the following. So, the central nervous system regulation of injury, the cellular response, the mediators of inflammation, and then cell-mediated inflammatory response, and your endothelium-mediated injury. Okay, so this topic is very challenging. Why? Because aside from ang dami niyang technicalities and more on biochemical siya. But I will try my best na maging mas madali siya for you. Okay? So next. Okay, so the immune system has developed to respond to neutralize pathogenic microorganism as well as coordinate tissue repair. So trauma is the leading cause of mortality and morbidity. Okay, so inflammatory response to injury. So it should restore to tissue function and eradicate invading microorganism. Okay, next. So these are the topics. So this is the overview of the lecture. We'll study the cellular effectors of the injury-induced inflammatory response, how the signals are sensed, transduced, and modulated, and how this regulation is associated with altered immune system. Okay, for the first part, let's talk about the process of detecting cellular injury. Okay, so traumatic injury activates the innate immune system to produce a systemic inflammatory response, or your SIR, in an attempt to limit the damage and to restore hemostasis. So there are two mechanisms. So we have an acute pro-inflammatory response resulting from innate immune system through recognition of ligands. And the other, we have the anti-inflammatory response that may serve to modulate the pro-inflammatory phase and direct a return to hemostasis. So remember guys, if there's an injury, okay, or infection, you will always trigger your body to react. So nagkakaroon siya ng inflammatory response. However, no, it's very important din yung body mo mini-maintain niya din yung hemostasis. Hindi siya pwedeng mas malaki yung pro-inflammatory response. Kaya kailangan may homeostasis talaga. Okay? So kapag ka nag-increase yung inyong pro-inflammatory, magti-trigger din yung anti-inflammatory to keep it balanced. So these are the clinical feature of the injury-mediated systemic inflammatory response. Okay, so ito, yung table na to, must know to. Okay, so remember, your systemic inflammatory response, okay, so very important siya. So nagti-trigger nagkakaroon ng reaction sa body. So ang ginagawa ng body is nag-i-increase yung heart rate, yung body temperature, yung respiration, and of course WBC in response with the infection or the trauma. So if you have an identifiable source of microbial insult, that is infection. And then if you have an elevated temperature or elevated heart rate, respiratory rate, and an elevated partial carbon dioxide, and of course a leukopenia or leukocytosis, okay, that's your systemic inflammatory response. Okay, sepsis is identifiable source of infection plus the SIRS. Okay, and then severe sepsis, it is sepsis plus organ dysfunction. Septic shock is sepsis with cardiovascular collapse. So anong ibig sabihin nun? So for example, in sepsis, if you have an abscess, okay, you already have, for example, a patient has an abscess on his right gluteal leg, okay, that is already an infection. You have already established an identifiable source, okay. And next, if the patient exhibits, for example, tachypneic, tachycardic, and then has a febrile episode, that is already an identifiable source of infection with SIRS. So that is already sepsis. If the patient with abscess had a renal failure or pulmonary congestion, no, that is severe sepsis. Okay, and once the patient develop a persistent yung infection niya and develop a hypotension, okay, and then nag-resuscitate, ibig sabihin nagkaroon ng fluid resuscitation, nagbigay tayo ng vasopressors, ng norepinephrine or dopamine, hindi pa rin siya nagre-respond. That means you're already in septic shock. Okay. So next. So this one is a schematic representation of the systemic inflammatory response syndrome after injury. So followed by a period of convalescence mediated by the counter-regulatory anti-inflammatory response syndrome. So severe inflammation may lead to acute multiple organ failure and may cause an early death after injury. So a lesser inflammatory response followed by excessive CARS may induce a prolonged immunosuppressed state that can also be deleterious to host. A normal recovery after injury requires a period of systemic inflammation followed by a return to homeostasis. Okay, so this one is the degree of the systemic inflammatory response following a trauma. So it is proportional to the injury severity and independent predictor of subsequent organ dysfunction and resultant mortality. So the clinical features of your injury-mediated systemic inflammatory response is characterized by an increased body temp, heart rate, respiration, and WBC, which is also similar to those observed with infection. So, however, it is widely accepted that your systemic inflammation following trauma is sterile, okay, and that these changes are stimulated by endogenous molecules that are produced as a consequence of a tissue damage or cellular stress. Okay, so sa infection, ang kalaban natin doon is your pathogen. So yung mga bacteria, fungi, etc. So dito naman sa trauma, ang kalaban naman natin dito is yung tissue damage and cellular stress. Okay, so trauma dumps. So these are molecules, structurally diverse endogenous molecules that are immunologically active. No? These molecules are released by your necrotic or damaged cells either passively or by upregulation or overexpression of physiologically stressed cells. Once they reach the outside of the cell, these damaged proteins produce the activation of your innate immune cells, as well as activation of your antigen-presenting cell, such as NK cells, your monocytes, your macrophage, and neutrophils. So here are your example of your damage-associated molecular patterns, or your DAMPs. And then they respond to specific receptors. So in clinical application, there are what we call the high mobility group protein B1 or HMGB1. So these are proteins participate in a variety of nuclear events, including DNA repair and your transcription. So these proteins, okay, once released by the damaged cells, they are detected rapidly in the circulation within 30 minutes. So your high mobility group protein B1, okay, when released during cellular injury, it produces the following effects. So it releases cytokines from macrophages. It activates neutrophil and chemotaxis. It alters the epithelial barrier, making the cells more permeable. So it also increases the procoagulant activity on the platelet surface. Okay, and lastly, and most importantly, okay, so should remember that the high mobility group protein B1 binds to the toll-like receptor 4, which triggers pro-inflammatory cytokine that release them and mediates the sickness behavior. Sickness behavior, ano ba ibig sabihin? So it includes the lethargic ka, depressed ang mood, no? Reduce social exploration, ibig sabihin ayaw mo makipag socialize sa tao, loss of appetite, sleepiness, hyperalgesia, and at times confusion. Again, remember the high mobility group protein B1. Okay, ulitin natin, cytokines, release of cytokines, neutrophil activation, increased permeability, and increased procoagulant activity. So clinical application. So clinical application of this substance is when exogenous administration of high mobility group protein B1 to normal animals, it produces fever, weight loss, epithelial barrier dysfunction, and possibly death. No? Another clinical application is the study of the patients following a traumatic brain injury. So they found out that when you have a traumatic brain injury, almost double yung high mobility group protein B1, as well also in the hemorrhagic shock. So mitochondrial proteins or DNA can also act as your dump, okay, by triggering an inflammatory response through cellular necrosis and stress. So your mitochondrial DNA release from damaged or dysfunctional mitochondria and leads to both inflammasome activation and eventually stimulator of your interferon gamma pathway. So your inflammasome, this is a innate immune system receptors and sensors that regulate the activation of caspase-1 and induce inflammation in response to your infectious microbes and molecules derived from host proteins. So in other words, ibig lang sabihin nito, so they have a specific receptors and then they will detect whether it is a self versus a non-self. Ibig sabihin, pag self, galing ba siya sa katawan? Pag non-self, ibig sabihin foreign organism ba siya or pathogen ba siya? Okay? So next is another important protein in inflammation is your heat shock proteins. So these are intracellular proteins that are expressed during times of your oxidative stress or following a tissue injury. So heat shock proteins function as your molecular chaperones to monitor and maintain your appropriate protein folding. So they accomplish this task through the promotion of protein refolding, target of misfolded proteins for degradation, or sequestration of your partially folded proteins for movement to appropriate membrane compartments. So heat shock proteins are also capable of binding proteins and thereby function as intracellular chaperones for ligands such as bacterial DNA and endotoxin. So these are your examples of your heat shock proteins. So I will not be going to details of each. So next. Yan. So now let's focus on the plasma membrane and its big role in detection of cellular injury. So remember that the plasma membrane is an extremely pliable structure, no, composed of two layers of the back-to-back phospholipids. So it's a bilayer, and that the DNA resides inside the nucleus. So now the toll-like receptors are plasma-bound receptors. So we have I think we have approximately 10 types of toll-like receptors in humans. So these receptors initiate an immune response. So we have the toll-like receptor 1, 2, which forms the dimer that can interact with your triacyl lipopeptides. Your 2 and 6 will form a dimer that can interact with your GP1 anchor for parasite of a parasite. And your 5 on the other hand can interact with the flagellin of the bacteria. So next is your 3, 7, 8, 9 are found within the endosomes, where the genetic material of the bacteria or virus will enter the cell and will interact with toll-like receptors within the endosome. So the activation of each toll-like receptors with specific property of a virus or a bacteria will initiate cascade of events that will activate certain transcription factors. So remember, guys, all of these factors will enter the nucleus and stimulate your Hello, guys.
Hello,
Hello po,
Doc.
Doc.
So far, may question ba kayo?
None so
Wala pa.
far.
Okay. So now let's proceed with the central nervous system regulation of your inflammation in response to injury. Okay, so how does the CNS detect inflammation? So your central nervous system communicates with the body through ordered system of your sensory and motor neurons, which receive and integrate information to generate a coordinated response. So recent work indicates that the CNS receives information with regards to the injury-induced inflammation, both via soluble mediators as well as a direct neural projection that transmits information regulatory areas in the brain. So the inflammatory signals reach through the CNS through some well understood mechanism. So this is how inflammatory signals. Now, first, fenestrated endothelium. Second is the leaky blood-brain barrier. And next is the generation of pro-inflammatory mediators such as cytokines, chemokines, and complement system. So information regarding peripheral inflammation and tissue damage can also be signaled to the brain via your afferent neural fibers, particularly those of the vagus nerve. So these signals interconnect with neurons that project to the hypothalamus to modulate your HPA axis. So axons from these cells, which compromise the visceromotor component of the vagus nerve, form an inflammatory reflex. So that feeds back to the periphery to regulate inflammatory signaling events. So focusing now on the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So following an injury, remember your CRH or your corticotrophin releasing hormone is secreted from the paraventricular nucleus, okay, of your hypothalamus, which is mediated in a part by circulating cytokines, which produce as a result of the innate immune response to injury. So the ultimate result of the HPA axis activation is to increase levels of cortisol in the blood during times of stress. Cortisol's main role is releasing glucose into the bloodstream in order to facilitate the flight or fight response. So this system works in a fairly straightforward manner. So this response is characterized by your hypothalamic release of your CRH. So when the CRF, corticotrophin releasing factor. So when your CRF binds with the CRF receptors on your anterior pituitary gland, your adenocorticotrophic hormone is released. Your ACTH binds to the receptors of the adrenal cortex and stimulates the adrenal to release the cortisol. So in response to stressors, cortisol will be released for several hours after encountering the stressors. So the release of your cortisol causes a number of changes that help the body to deal with stress. So for example, it helps to mobilize the energy like glucose, so the body has enough energy to cope with stressors. So remember, when the cortisol gets high, your hypothalamus detects it and sets a negative feedback mechanism. So, yan. So, ulitin ko. So, from your hypothalamus, your CRH, okay, then it will go to the receptor from your anterior pituitary and it will release ACTH. So, from ACTH, pupunta siya sa, from anterior pituitary, magre-release siya ng ACTH and then mag-a-attach siya sa receptor sa adrenal cortex and then magre-release ng cortisol. So, ngayon, kapag sobrang taas na ng cortisol, madedetect yan ng inyong hypothalamus and then mag-elicit siya ng negative feedback. Ibig sabihin, madidetect na ng hypothalamus mo na napakarami na ng cortisol sa katawan, hindi na siya magre-release ng CRH. Okay? Para wala nang ma-produce or ma-release na cortisol sa body. Okay? So next. So in clinical application, so in the post-injury setting, your CIRCI or your critical illness-related corticosteroid insufficiency phenomenon is an exaggerated pro-inflammatory response and associated with a blunted adrenocortical response. So this has been linked to dysregulation of your HPA axis and altered adrenal synthesis of your cortisol. Altered cortisol metabolism and tissue resistance to corticosteroids with inadequate glucocorticoid receptor activity. So as a consequence, your cortisol levels prove insufficient for the severity of stress. So the central nervous system, okay, it's as I said a while ago, it communicates with the body through ordered system of sensory and motor neurons, okay, which receives and integrates information to generate a coordinated response. Okay. So your neuroendocrine response to injury, okay, hormones are chemical signals that are released to modulate the function of target cells. So hormone receptors are present on or within the target cells and allow signal transduction to progress intercellularly, mostly through three major pathways. So these are receptor kinases, guanine nucleotide binding or your G proteins, and your ligand-gated ion channels. Of course, you also have your hormone classifications. So these are your polypeptides, your amino acid, and your fatty acid. So remember this one, guys. So your ACTH or your adrenocorticotropic hormone is a polypeptide hormone released by the anterior pituitary gland. So your ACTH binds with the receptor in the zona fasciculata of the adrenal gland and mediate intracellular signaling and subsequent cortisol release. Your ACTH release follows circadian rhythms, okay, in healthy humans. However, during times of stress, this diurnal pattern becomes blunted because ACTH release is elevated in proportion to the severity of injury. So there are several important stimuli for ACTH release. No, these are of injured patients. So these are your CRH, your pain, anxiety, vasopressin, angiotensin 2, your cholecystokinin, your vasoactive intestinal polypeptide, your catecholamines, and your pro-inflammatory cytokines. So within the zona fasciculata of the adrenal gland, your ACTH signaling activates intracellular pathways, which lead to glucocorticoid production. In condition of excess ACTH stimulation, result in adenocortical hypertrophy. So this one is your cortisol. Remember, elevated siya following an injury, and it potentiates hyperglycemia. So ang ginagawa niya is hepatic gluconeogenesis. It induces insulin resistance in muscle and adipose tissue. It induces your protein degradation and lactate release in skeletal muscles. And it reduce the release of your fatty acids, glycerols, and triglycerides. Okay, your exogenous administration. So whenever you have adrenal suppression in acutely ill, so you will exhibit weakness, nausea, vomiting, fever, hypotension, hypoglycemia, hyponatremia, and hyperkalemia. So tatandaan nyo to, guys, pwede tong iba-ibahin, lituhin kayo sa exam. Okay, so tatandaan nyo, hyperkalemia. Okay, so hypoglycemia, hyponatremia, hyperkalemia. So immunosuppression, your thymic involution, decrease your T killer and natural killer cells by your graft versus host reaction. So it also induces a delayed hypersensitivity response, inability of monocyte intracellular killing, inhibition of your superoxide reactivity and chemotaxis in neutrophils. It also downregulates your pro-inflammatory cytokine production. It increases the anti-inflammatory mediator, which is the interleukin-10. It is very useful in septic shock, surgical trauma, and cabbage. Next is your macrophage migration inhibiting factor. So it is a neurohormone that is stored and secreted by your anterior pituitary and by intracellular pools within macrophage. So your MIF is a counter-regulatory mediator that potentiates, reverses the anti-inflammatory effects of cortisol. So during the time of stress, hypercortisolemia, and host immunosuppression, your MIF modulate the inflammatory response by inhibiting the immunosuppressive effect of the cortisol on immunocytes and thereby increasing their activity against foreign pathogens. Your growth hormone is also a neurohormone expressed primarily in the pituitary gland. So it has a metabolic and immunomodulator effects. So your growth hormone promotes protein synthesis and insulin resistance. So it enhances the mobilization of fat stores. Your growth hormone primarily exerts its downstream effects through direct interaction with your growth hormone receptors. And secondarily, through the enhanced hepatic synthesis of your IGF-1. So your IGF, okay, so it circulates primarily bound to your various binding proteins and also has an anabolic effects, including increased protein synthesis and lipogenesis. In critical illness, it is also associated with acquired growth hormone resistance and contributes to the decreased level of your IGF. So this effect is a part that mediates overall catabolic phenotype, which is manifested in critical illness. So in addition, growth hormone enhances phagocytic activity of your immunocytes through increased lysosomal superoxide production. So your catecholamines are hormones secreted by your chromaffin cells and of the adrenal medulla and function as your neurotransmitters in the CNS. So the most common catecholamines are epinephrine and norepinephrine and dopamine, sorry. So which also has an metabolic, immunomodulatory, and vasoactive effect. So after a severe injury, plasma catecholamines are increased 3 to 4-fold, with elevation lasting to 24 to 48 hours before returning toward the baseline levels. So these are the other effects of your catecholamines or your epinephrine. So it increases the secretion of your T3, T4, and renin. It reduces and releases the aldosterone. It enhances your leukocyte demargination and your lymphocytosis. Aldosterone. So your aldosterone is a mineralocorticoid that release in zona glomerulosa, so of your adrenal cortex. So your aldosterone increases intravascular volume by acting on the renal mineralocorticoid receptor of your distal convoluted tubules. So this is very important to retain sodium and to eliminate potassium and hydrogen ions. So aldosterone secretion is stimulated by your ACTH, your angiotensin 2, which decrease the intravascular volume and hyperkalemia. So in aldosterone deficiency, manifested by hypotension and hyperkalemia. So in aldosterone excess is manifested by edema, hypertension, hypokalemia, and metabolic alkalosis. So guys, alam niyo naman siguro yung sugar, salt, sex. So this is salt. So your aldosterone, okay, so kapag mataas siya sa body, it is very important because it maintains your intravascular volume, no? So hyperglycemia and insulin resistance, sorry. So your hyperglycemia and your insulin resistance are hallmarks of critical illness due to the catabolic effects of your circulating mediators, including your catecholamines, your cortisol, your glucagon, and growth hormone. So hyperglycemia during critical illness has also an immunosuppressive effects, including glycosylation of your immunoglobulins and decreased phagocytosis and respiratory burst of your monocytes. And thus, this is associated with an increased risk for infection. So tatandaan natin, pag sinabing hallmarks of critical illness, hyperglycemia and insulin resistance agad yan. Bakit? Hyperglycemia because you have an increased cortisol and insulin resistance, kaya hindi siya nagbabalance. Okay? So let's have a 1-minute break. Tumayo muna kayo dyan. Okay? So para hindi kayo mabore. So we have covered the detection of cellular injury and central nervous regulation of inflammation in response to injury. So next is we will discuss the cellular stress response. So let's have a 30-second break. Okay, so let's proceed. So your cellular stress response, or the reactive oxygen species and reactive nitrogen species, these are molecules that are highly reactive due to the presence of your unpaired outer orbit electrons. So they can cause cellular injury to host cells and invading pathogens through the oxidation of cell membrane substrates, cellular proteins, and DNA. So your reactive oxygen species also has been shown to have important roles as signaling messengers, particularly in the immune system. So host cells are protected from damaging effects of your ROS through a number of mechanisms. So the best described mechanism is via the upregulation and or activation of your endogenous antioxidant enzymes, such as your superoxide dismutase, your catalase, and your glutaredoxins. So the pyruvic kinase provide a negative feedback for your ROS synthesis. So the role of your ROS has been well described in phagocytes, which is utilize these small molecules for pathogen killing. So another role of your ROS is the regulation of your inflammasomes. So remember that inflammasomes mediate the activation of your inflammatory caspases, which leads to the production and secretion of your mature cytokines in macrophages. Under normal situation, your ROS production is balanced effectively by these antioxidative strategies. So next, your unfolded protein response. So protein fold in the lumen of your endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so your cellular stress disrupts the quality control required for this process, leading to the accumulation of your misfolded or unfolded proteins. So these occurrences are sensed by a highly conserved array of signaling proteins in the ER that try to reestablish the appropriate folding, while at the same time, it decreases the protein synthesis. So remember, the following signaling protein responsible for deregulation. Okay, significant protein misfolding results in an alarm signal that, if not addressed, can result to cell death. So these are your signaling protein, which is responsible for the regulation. Okay, so remember, all of these mechanisms are done in attempt to restore your homeostasis. Okay. So now let's go on to different mechanism of your cellular stress response. So we have your autophagy, your apoptosis, your pyroptosis, your necroptosis. So ito, pwede nila itong ibigay sa exam, lituhin kayo, no? So autophagy, so under normal circumstances, cells need to have a way of disposing a damaged organelles or debris that aggregates that are too large or too to be managed by your protosomal degradation. In order to accomplish this is the housekeeping task, cell utilize a process referred to as macroautophagy. So as noted previously, your autophagy is a normal cellular process that occurs in quiescent cells for cellular maintenance. However, under condition of hypoxia and low cellular energy, your autophagy is induced in an attempt to provide your additional nutrients for energy production. So the steps in autophagy includes engulfment of cytoplasm or organelle by an isolation membrane. Next is the edges of the phagopore fuse to form the autophagosome, which is a double membrane vesicle that usually sequesters the cytoplasmic material and characteristic features of your autophagy. And then your autophagosome then fuses with a lysosome to form an autolysosome where the contents together with the inner membrane are degraded. Here's the example. Okay, so next. Okay, so apoptosis or regulated cell death. So it is energy dependent, no inflammatory response. So apoptosis is an organized mechanism for clearing senescent or dysfunctional cells, including macrophage, neutrophils, and lymphocytes, without promoting an inflammatory response. So this contrasts with cellular necrosis, which results in disorganized sequence of intracellular molecular release with subsequent immune activation and inflammatory response. Okay, so this is your apoptosis. So there are two processes of apoptosis. No, the extrinsic pathway is activated through the binding of that receptors and activation of your caspases. So caspases are the effectors of the apoptotic signaling because they mediate the organized breakdown of nuclear DNA. Next is we have your intrinsic pathway, which proceeds through the protein mediators, influence mitochondrial membrane permeability. No, it increases the membrane permeability and leads to release of your mitochondrial cytochrome C, which ultimately activates your caspases and induce apoptosis. Okay. So your necrosis, on the other hand, is characterized by your loss of your plasma membrane integrity and cellular collapse with an extrusion of your cytoplasmic contents, but the cell nuclei typically remain intact. So ito daw. So ang necrosis, again, is loss of your plasma membrane integrity. Okay, so your pyroptosis shares some features with apoptosis, no, including the DNA fragmentation and positive annexin 5 staining, among others. However, it is associated with activation of your caspase-1 and formation of your caspase-1 dependent pores that allow early permeabilization of your cell membrane, electrolyte movement into the cells, and finally, your osmotic lysis of the cells. So this is typically observed in macrophage, your dendrite cells, and your mononuclear cells. So this is an example of your pyroptosis. So again, DNA fragmentation and positive annexin 5 staining. So nagkakaroon siya ng formation of your caspase-1 dependent pores, so which allows early permeabilization of your cell membrane. Okay. So now that we have covered the first few topics in this lecture, let's now talk about the mediators of your inflammation. So we have discussed some of the mediators of inflammation in general. So now let's discuss their properties and types. So your cytokines, okay, so these cytokines mediate a broad sequence of your cellular response, including cell migration, DNA replication, your cell turnover, and your immunocyte proliferation. However, in cases of your pro-inflammatory cytokine response, release of cytokines can produce hemodynamic stability and metabolic derangements. So let's now discuss some of the cytokines. So your tumor necrosis alpha. So this is synthesized by your immune cells like macrophage, and it has the following function. Okay, but focus on muscle breakdown and cachexia. Interleukin-1 is produced from macrophage and your monocytes. It induces fever through the prostaglandin activity. So the third is interleukin-2. So this is produced from your T lymphocytes and function in lymphocyte proliferation, immunoglobulin production, and promotion of your gut barrier integrity. On the other hand, your interleukin-6 is produced by your macrophage, and it prolongs the survival of your neutrophils. Your interleukin-8 is a chemoattractant for neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, and lymphocytes. Your interferon gamma is a type of cytokine that promotes ARDS, or your acute respiratory distress syndrome. So it usually found in wounds 5 to 7 days after your injury. Okay, your high mobility group. So it is responsible for your sickness behavior. So your eicosanoids are signaling molecules made by oxidation of fatty acid. So remember that your arachidonic acid is found in the cell membrane. So it is usually cleaved by the enzyme phospholipase A2. And triggers or result to several pathways. Your lipooxygenase, which produces leukotrienes, which is responsible for bronchoconstriction. Okay, and next is your cyclooxygenase, which produces thromboxane A2. So your thromboxane A2 is responsible for hemostasis and prothrombotic properties. Next is your prostaglandin. So it is has a protective effect in the stomach and pain, fever, and inflammation. Your prostacyclin, which is present in endothelin, is characterized as most potent endogenous inhibitor of your platelet aggregation so far discovered. So your NSAIDs, or your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, so it inhibits this process and are used for treatment of pain, fever, and inflammation. So what are eicosanoids? Mainly it's omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acid. So metabolites your arachidonic acid. Okay. So each product of the cleavage of eicosanoids produces specific inflammatory response. So for example, your prostaglandin causes vasodilation. Your leukotrienes causes neutrophil recruitment. So your complement, following a traumatic injury, there's almost immediate activation of your complement system, no, which is a major effector mechanism of your innate immune system. Complement system was thought to act initially as the required first line of defense. So the subsequent effect of your complement signaling is neutrophil activation, leading to your reactive oxygen species production, or your ROS, as well as the protease and vasoactive mediator secretion. So the complement cascade also result in the release of your pro-inflammatory cytokines. Your kallikrein-kinin system, also referred to as contact system, is a group of proteins which contribute to both coagulation and inflammation. So your prekallikrein circulates in the plasma bound to a high molecular weight kininogen. So a variety of stimuli lead to the binding of your prekallikrein HK complex to Hagemann factor, or your factor 12, and initiate the intrinsic clotting cascade. Now, this result in formation of your serine protease kallikrein, which is both an pro-inflammatory and procoagulant. So next is once they are formed together with the high molecular kininogen, it will do some following effects: your vasodilation, increased permeability, tissue edema, pain pathway activation, bronchoconstriction, inhibition of gluconeogenesis, and increased renal perfusion. So serotonin is a potent vasoconstrictor which is derived from tryptophan. The other hand, histamine is either rapidly released or stored in neurons, skin, gastric mucosa, muscles, basophils, and platelets and plasma levels, which is increased in cases of hemorrhagic shock, trauma, thermal injury, and sepsis. So it mediates vasodilation, bronchoconstriction, intestinal motility, and myocardial contractility. So histamine 2 receptors binding is best described for its stimulation of your gastric parietal cell acid secretion. However, your H2 receptor can also modulate a range of immune system activities such as mast cell degranulation and antibody synthesis. So now we have finished the first half of the lecture. We'll now proceed with the next half, starting with the cellular response to injury. So let's have a recap. Okay, so detection of cellular injury. Guys, tatandaan nyo dyan, you're damp. Okay, so tatandaan nyo the stranger danger model para hindi kayo malito. So you're damp. Ang examples nito is your high mobility group protein B1, your mitochondrial DNA, okay? So, and your heat shock proteins. So, na-release siya after stress. Nag-a-attach siya sa inyong receptor or your toll-like receptors, and then nag-initiate siya ng response. Ano yun? Activation ng cytokines or production ng cytokines or chemokines, immune cell recruitment, inflammation, adaptive immunity, and tissue repair. So next, so yan, wag nyo kakalimutan yan. Pag sinabi naman nating central nervous system regulation of inflammation, ang iisipin nyo is your HPA axis or your hypothalamic pituitary axis. So, yan. Okay, so tatandaan nyo, from hypothalamus, magre-release ng corticotropin-releasing hormones. Magbabind siya sa receptors ng anterior pituitary nyo. Magre-release naman siya ng adrenocorticotropic hormone. And then your ACTH will bind to a specific receptor in your adrenal cortex, which will lead to increased cortisol production. Kapag sobrang increase yung cortisol production, magsasend siya ng negative feedback or negative signal sa hypothalamus, and then madedetect siya ng hypothalamus, hindi na siya magre-release ng corticotropin releasing hormone. So that is your central nervous system regulation. Next is your hormone signaling. So tatandaan, we have hormone classification, your polypeptide, your amino acid, your fatty acid. Okay? Ang importante dito is your cortisol. So it potentiates your hyperglycemia. So hepatic gluconeogenesis in the liver, and then sa muscle and adipose tissue, nagkakaroon siya ng insulin resistance. Sa skeletal muscles, protein degradation and your lactate release. And sa adipose tissue naman, nire-reduce niya yung release ng inyong triglycerides, free fatty acid, and your glycerol. So next is your MIF. Pag sinabing macrophage inhibitory factor, it reverses the immunosuppressive effects of your glucocorticoids. Okay. Next is your growth hormone. So during stress, increase yung protein synthesis, fat mobilization, and skeletal cartilage growth. Okay. Your catecholamines, important dyan is 3-4-fold and remain 24 to 48 hours after injury. No? So ang ginagawa niya is hepatic glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, and your ketogenesis. Your aldosterone, so tatandaan nyo, it is released from your zona glomerulosa. So pag nagre-release siya, isipin nyo, nag-a-attract siya ng water. So ini-increase niya yung intravascular volume. Okay? Your insulin, so kapag tatandaan, ano nga yung critical hallmarks ng ano nga yung hallmarks ng critical illness? Remember, hyperglycemia and your insulin resistance. Okay, hyperglycemia and insulin resistance. So pagdating naman sa cellular stress response, ang tatandaan nyo dyan is your 4 mechanism. The autophagy, the apoptosis, the pyroptosis, and your necroptosis. So pag autophagy, nagbabind siya sa lysosome, and then nagiging autolysosome siya. Okay? So ayan. Next, your apoptosis. So meron tayong 2 process, the extrinsic and intrinsic pathway. So nag-activate siya ng caspase 3, which induces apoptosis, yung intrinsic pathway. Okay? So next, your necrosis. So tatandaan, loss of plasma membrane integrity. Pag sinabing necrosis, loss of plasma membrane integrity, which lead to cellular collapse. Okay? Pero intact, your cell nuclei is typically intact. Okay, so your pyroptosis, development naman to ng pores. So pag sinabing pyroptosis, dapat ang nasa isip nyo dyan is DNA fragmentation. Okay, so formation ng caspase 1 dependent pores, no, which allow early permeabilization of your cell membrane. Okay, so mediators of inflammation, you have your cytokines, your complement, your echinoids, your kallikrein, your serotonin, and your histamine. So pag sinabing cytokines, so okay, so it includes your cell migration, DNA replication, your cell turnover, and your immunocyte proliferation. Okay, so the release of cytokine can produce hemodynamic instability and metabolic derangements. Okay, your different cytokines, your tumor necrosis factor alpha. So tatandaan, importante siya sa muscle breakdown and cachexia. Your interleukin 1, pag sinabing 1, fever. Okay? So next is your interleukin 2. Pag sinabing interleukin 2, your lymphocyte proliferation, immunoglobulin production, and your gut barrier integrity. Your interleukin 6, survival ng neutrophils. Your 8, interleukin 8, chemoattractant ng neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, and lymphocytes. Your interferon gamma, okay, responsible siya pag nakita nyo sa question, ARDS, interferon gamma na kagad yon. Your sickness behavior, it's high mobility group B1. And your eicosanoids, okay, so ang tatandaan nyo dyan is dalawa yung pathway niya, your lipooxygenase and your cyclooxygenase. Your lipooxygenase, responsible siya sa leukotrienes, nagpo-produce, responsible for your bronchoconstriction. Your cyclooxygenase, tatlo yung pinoproduce niya. Your thromboxane A2, your prostaglandin, your prostacyclin. Okay? So dito yung serotonin is a potent vasoconstriction. Okay? So derived from tryptophan. Your histamine, so it mediates vasodilation, bronchoconstriction, and your intestinal mobility. So guys, okay pa ba kayo? Mary?
Okay pa po.
Malinaw naman? Buti pa
Yes.
kayo, okay pa? Okay. So we'll have a 1-minute break. Tayo muna kayo dyan, pagpag para magising. Okay? Okay, Mary. Start na tayo.
Okay po, Doc.
Okay. So next is I will discuss cellular response to injury. So still mediators of inflammation, you have your cytokine receptor families, your JAK-STAT signaling, your suppressors of cytokine signaling, your transforming growth factor B, and your tumor necrosis factor superfamily. So cytokines act on the target cells by binding to specific membrane receptors. Your JAK-STAT signaling pathway is considered a central communication hub for the immune system. So JAK-STAT activation occurs in response to your cytokines. Example is your interleukin-6 and cell stressors, and has been found to induce cell proliferation and inflammatory function. So just remember that prior to the activation of this mechanism, there should be an interaction between the enzymes, which is the Janus kinase and the transcription proteins. So production of cytokines will then follow after the activation of the process. So next is your regulatory mechanism for your JAK-STAT mechanism. So once activated, it will render target proteins ready for degradation. Next is your tumor necrosis factor superfamily. So signaling pathway for your tumor necrosis factor receptors occurs by the recruitment of several adaptor proteins, to the intracellular receptor complex. With an optimal signaling activity, it requires receptor trimerization. Your tumor necrosis 1 initially recruits associated death domain, or tumor necrosis factor associated death domain, and induces apoptosis through the action of your proteolytic enzymes known as caspases. Your transforming growth factor B is very essential for your T cell homeostasis. So this substance is responsible for the suppression of your interleukin-2 and T cell proliferation. Next is your transcriptional and your translational regulation of injury response. So we'll be just going through this very briefly, as we go along to the lecture. So transcriptional events happen in times of stress. So this process is done by combination of your transcription factors and co-activates with the promoter regions of your DNA. So the DNA access of protein machineries involve transcription processes, which is tightly regulated by your histones. So which are a family of basic proteins that associate with DNA in the nucleus. So your histone proteins help to condense the DNA into tightly packed nucleosomes, that limit transcription. Emerging evidence indicates that the transcriptional activation of many pro-inflammatory genes requires your nucleosome remodeling. So for the last two topics, okay, so please pay attention to each cell that I will discuss. These are very high yield topics for your exams, okay? So let's now proceed to the last portion of the lecture, the cell-mediated inflammatory response. So your neutrophils, these are cells recruited from your bone marrow to the circulation. So these cells secrete toxic effectors such as your ROS. So the granule contains substance that induces injury. Next is your monocytes or your macrophage, which is a main effector cells that responds to the danger signals. So in tissues, these cells are quiescent. And once they are recruited in the bloodstream, they recognize, engulf, and destroy the target cells. So lymphocytes are cells responsible for your B cell antibody production, enhancement of your T cell functions, and your macrophage activation. Next is your dendritic cells. So the most important antigen presenting cells for initiating your T cell response. So these cells are professional antigen-presenting cells. They regulate immune response through the upregulation and release of your immunomodulatory molecules. The other hand, platelets are produced as megakaryotic in the bone marrow. So remember, they lack nucleus, but they contain your mRNA. So they are also responsible for your homeostasis. Your mast cells are located in the tissues and they are very crucial for your neutrophil recruitment and anaphylactic response. So remember that these cells cause vasodilation. So remember, mast cells is very important to your neutrophil recruitment and anaphylactic response. Okay, so for the last portion, you have your endothelium-mediated injury. So for the response of the endothelium during injury, it has been found out that there are increased disruption of your endothelial glycocalyx. So this altered phenotype causes thrombotic state and organ dysfunction. Once the neutrophil interact with your endothelium, there will be an increased vascular permeability. So your P-selectin, okay, so this mediates the neutrophil recruitment. Your E-selectin is responsible for your rolling of your leukocytes at the injury sites. So your chemokines, these are small proteins soluble and binds with glycosaminoglycans on cell surface. Hello, nawala ba? Mary?
Nawala po saglit po, Doc.
Sorry ah. Yan, malinaw ba? Kita, Mary?
Yes, Doc, kita na po.
Okay, so let's continue. Kinds, these are small proteins soluble that binds with glycosaminoglycans on cell surface. So it has a chemotactic and activating effect on inflammatory cells. Your nitric oxide, okay, so your nitric oxide is an endothelium-derived relaxing factor which dilates blood vessels, raising blood supply and lowering your blood pressure. Conversely, it helps to protect tissues from damage due to low blood supply. Your prostacyclin, so as discussed earlier, is a potent vasodilator. So it also inhibits platelet aggregation, and during your systemic inflammation, it has been observed that your prostacyclin is impaired, causing a procoagulant effect on the body. Next is your endothelins. So endothelins are the most potent vasoconstrictor. So these are unregulated in response to hypotension, and it is known to counter the effects of your prostacyclin and your nitric oxide. So endothelial interaction with smooth muscle cells and with intraluminal platelets, your prostacyclin or your is derived from your arachidonic acid, and nitric oxide is derived from your L-arginine. So this increases in cyclic adenosine monophosphate and your cyclic guanosine monophosphate, which result in the smooth muscle relaxation and inhibition of your platelet thrombus formation. So your endothelins are derived from big ET, and they counter the effects of prostacyclin and nitric oxide. Okay, so recap. Okay, cellular response to injury. So you have mediators of inflammation. So tatandaan, pag cytokine, they act on specific target cells and specific membrane receptors. Your JAK-STAT signaling. So it's very important in activation or production of cytokines. Your suppressors of your cytokine signaling. So it renders target proteins ready for degradation. It also influences the activation of your dendritic cells and your macrophage. Your tumor necrosis factor. So yan, so it induces apoptosis through the action of your proteolytic enzyme known as caspases. Next is your transforming growth factor B. So it is responsible for the suppression of your interleukin 2 and your T cell proliferation. Okay. When it comes to transcriptional and translational regulation of your injury response, okay, so remember, histones, it limits the transcription, activation of many pro-inflammatory genes that requires nucleosome remodeling. So your cell-mediated inflammatory response, your neutrophils, it releases, it recruits monocytes, which is responsible for your phagocytosis. Okay. Your macrophage or monocytes, this is a play an important role in recruitment of your hematopoietic stem cells from your bone marrow. Your lymphocytes or your T cells, responsible for your B cell antibody production. Your dendritic cells, okay, this is most important antigen presenting cells to initiate your T cell response. Your platelet produce as a megakaryotic in your bone marrow, and your this is responsible for also for your hemostasis. Your mast cells, okay, neutrophil, pag sinabing mast cells, neutrophil recruitment and anaphylactic response. Endothelium, so endothelium-mediated injury, tatandaan nyo lang dyan. Pag sinabing P-selectin, mediates neutrophil recruitment. E-selectin, rolling of leukocytes. Chemokines, small proteins which binds to glycosaminoglycans on the cell surface. Nitric oxide, vasodilation, okay. Prostacyclin, procoagulant, okay. It is also a vasodilator. And your endothelins, potent vasoconstrictor, counter effects ng prostacyclin and your nitric oxide. So guys, huwag kayong malilito ha. Ang magkakampi is your prostacyclin and your nitric oxide, which cause vasodilation. Okay? Ang kalaban nila is your endothelins, okay? Which is a potent vasoconstrictor. Okay, so I guess that's the end of the lecture. Thank you for listening and attending. Do you have any questions? May questions ba, Mary?
I think none so far naman po, Doc. Clear naman po yun.
Oh, guys, medyo sorry I'll be straightforward. Medyo boring yung topic na to. Why? Because it involves, yun nga, sabi ko nga, biochemical, tapos hindi nyo napipicture out eh. So I guess para mas madali nyo siyang ma-remember, okay, gumawa kayo ng algorithm. So for example, para matandaan nyo kung ano yung DAMP or your damage associated molecular proteins and your HMG-B1. So dapat gumawa kayo ng pattern doon na algorithm. So ano ba nangyayari? So pagkatapos nun, saan siya nag-a-attach? And then ano yung nai-elicit niyang action. So tatandaan nyo lang yung mga diagram na pinakita ko. And then I think masasagot nyo na yung question sa exam. Okay? Sa cell-mediated naman, kailangan matandaan nyo kung anong ginagawa ng neutrophils, ng mast cells. Okay? Sa endothelin, kung ano yung ginagawa. Yun nga, sinabi ko na kung ano yung nitric oxide, yung prostacyclin versus the endothelins. So, ganun nyo siya aralin. Kasi kung babasahin nyo lang siya straightforward tapos i-memorize nyo, nakakalito siya. Hindi nyo siya matatandaan agad. Okay, so may class pa ba kayo after nito?
Wala na po, Dok.
Wow, sarap naman.
Sa 1 pa po. This afternoon pa po yung sunod.
So may exams kayo ng 12?
Wala po for today.
Okay. So sige. So let's end our lecture.